I called off my wedding and I have no regrets. I never thought my relationship would fall apart like this, but here we are. A little over a week ago, I was engaged to the woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. Now, I'm single, exhausted, and emotionally drained. But one thing is clear, I'm done with her. Background. I, 29 millions, was with my ex-fiancée, Lisa, 27 Fahrenheits, for 5 years. We were engaged for a little over a year, and our wedding was supposed to be in 3 months. Everything was planned, venues booked, invitations sent, deposits paid. I was excited to start my life with the woman I loved. For context, I'm about 5 feet 9 inches, which I've always considered an average height. Lisa is around 5 feet 4 inches, and height had never been a discussion between us. Or at least I thought so. Lisa and I met 5 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. It was one of those chaotic house parties where half the guests didn't know each other, and the music was too loud for real conversations. I wasn't much of a party guy, but my best friend Mark had dragged me there, promising I'd have a good time. At first, I stuck to my usual routine, grabbing a drink, hanging out by the snack table, and avoiding small talk with strangers. That's when I saw Lisa. She was arguing with the guy hosting the party because he had promised there'd be homemade cupcakes, and apparently he had lied. "I came for the cupcakes, Matt. You advertised freshly baked cupcakes. Do you even know how much I love frosting?" She had huffed, arms crossed. The sheer seriousness of her complaint made me laugh, and when she turned around and saw me smiling, she narrowed her eyes. "You think this is funny?" she demanded, pointing a finger at me. "I think it's the most passionate argument I've seen all night," I admitted. That was our first conversation, bonding over Lisa's heartbreak about non-existent cupcakes. I spent the rest of the night talking to her, learning about her love for baking, her obsession with cheesy romance movies, and her ability to rant for 20 minutes straight about how pineapple on pizza was a crime against humanity. We clicked instantly. I got her number before she left, and after a few weeks of talking nonstop, I asked her out. Lisa and I had what I thought was the perfect relationship. We did everything together: road trips, late-night drives, binge-watching entire TV series in one sitting. She was the kind of person who would randomly show up at my job with homemade cookies just because she missed me. She once spent an entire weekend helping me build a bookshelf for my apartment, even though she had no idea how to use a drill. We traveled together, made ridiculous bucket lists, and talked about everything, or at least I thought we did. For years, I truly believed she was my soulmate. I thought she felt the same way. So when I proposed last year, she didn't hesitate. She cried, said yes 100 times, and jumped into my arms. We started planning our wedding, picking venues, tasting cakes. Everything was falling into place. Or so I thought. The subtle signs I ignored. Looking back, there were small things that should have stood out to me. Lisa had always been close with Emily and Rachel, but over the past year, I noticed a shift. She started spending way more time with them. After every brunch or girls' night, she'd come back acting distant. Lisa has 2 close friends, Emily and Rachel, who have been a part of her life for years. I never liked them much, but I tolerated them because they were important to her. They always struck me as the type of people who believed in living in the moment and encouraged reckless behavior under the guise of, "You only live once." Emily's boyfriend, Matt, is 6 feet 3 inches, and I now realize how much that played into this whole mess. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Wedding planning is overwhelming, right? But there were moments, tiny, easily dismissed moments, where I felt like something was off. Like the time we were watching a movie, and a scene came up where a woman was torn between her stable, loving fiancé and a mysterious, passionate stranger. Lisa had sighed and said, Ugh, I hate that they always make the stable guy so boring. I had laughed it off then. Or the time she jokingly told me, I always wonder what it would be like to date a really tall guy. Like, do they just reach stuff for you all the time? Again, I brushed it aside. I trusted her. I never thought for a second that she was actually questioning our relationship until I overheard her say it outright. A little over a week ago, I came home early from work. I walked into the house and heard Lisa's voice coming from the living room. She was with her two best friends, Emily and Rachel, chatting and laughing. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but the moment I heard my name, I instinctively stopped in my tracks. Then Lisa's voice rang out. I love my name, but sometimes I wonder what it would be like to just try a taller guy. Just once, Like, I'm marrying him, so I'll never get to experience that. It's just a fantasy, but still. Emily, always the instigator, let out a dramatic gasp. Ooh, girl, you're telling me you've never had a tall guy experience? She teased. Damn, you're missing out. Rachel giggled. I told you, didn't I? It's so different. Like, I didn't even realize what I was missing until I got with Matt. It's not just about looks. It's a whole different vibe. Lisa laughed nervously. I know, right? I love my name, but sometimes I feel like I settled before I got to explore, Emily leaned in closer. You should. It's not like you'd be cheating if you don't get caught. Just a one-time thing before the wedding, who's gonna know? Lisa gasped and swatted her arm playfully. Emily, that's terrible, Rachel smirked. Oh, come on, it's not like we're saying go start an affair. Just, check it off the list before you lock yourself down. Look at Matt, 6 feet 3 inches, built like a damn model. You're telling me you wouldn't be curious? Like, just once? Lisa bit her lip. Ugh, stop. You guys are making me think about it, she whined. Emily snickered. If you ever want to know what you're missing, Matt has some tall friends. Rachel burst out laughing. Shut up, Emily. Lisa shook her head, but she was still giggling. I would never do that. But I have thought about it. I just feel like I missed out, like, what if I'm saying no to something amazing? Emily rolled her eyes. See? That's why people do bachelorette flings. Just for the experience. No harm, no foul. It's a goodbye tour before the real deal. Lisa laughed again, but didn't outright shut the conversation down. She just said, You guys are so bad, in a way that sounded more entertained than horrified. That's when I shifted my weight slightly and the floor creaked. All three of them turned their heads toward the hallway. Lisa's face drained of color the moment she saw me standing there. The moment Lisa spotted me standing in the hallway, her face drained of color. Rachel and Emily exchanged wide-eyed looks before snapping their attention back to Lisa, waiting for her reaction. Instead of looking guilty or apologetic, her first instinct was to go on the attack. Were you eavesdropping on us? Lisa shrieked, her voice sharp with accusation. I stepped into the living room, my heart pounding. Are you serious right now? That's what you're worried about? Not the fact that you were just talking about cheating on me? Lisa scoffed and folded her arms. It wasn't about cheating. God, you're blowing this way out of proportion. It was just girl talk. We were joking. Emily smirked and leaned back on the couch. Yeah, dude. It was just a fun hypothetical. Have you ever fantasized about stuff? Doesn't mean you'd actually do it. I turned to her, my jaw clenching. Hypothetical? You literally told her to go through with it as long as she didn't get caught. Rachel, who had been mostly quiet, raised an eyebrow. And? It's just advice. People have temptations before they settle down. That's normal. It's not our fault you took it the wrong way. Lisa let out an exasperated sigh. Babe, please. You're acting like I just confessed to some affair. It was just talk. A dumb conversation. I would never actually do it. I let out a bitter laugh. Yeah? Because it sure didn't sound like just talk when you said you felt like you missed out, or when you said you wondered what you were saying no to. Lisa opened her mouth but hesitated. I pressed on. And let's not forget the part where you were practically drooling over Matt, Rachel. You really think it's normal to be sitting here, hyping my fiancée up to cheat just so she can experience someone like your boyfriend? Rachel rolled her eyes. Oh, please, Matt's just an example. The point is, everyone wonders what it's like to be with someone different before they get married. You're acting like this is some huge betrayal when it's literally just a harmless conversation. I turned back to Lisa, waiting for her to actually take responsibility. She didn't. Instead, she doubled down. This is why I didn't want you to hear it, she snapped. I knew you'd overreact. Do you really think I was going to go out and find some tall guy to sleep with? No. It was just venting, just like how guys talk about dumb fantasies all the time. But no, of course, you have to make it a thing and act like I just broke your heart over nothing. My blood was boiling now. Nothing? You literally entertained the idea of cheating on me right before our wedding, and the only reason you're upset is because I caught you. Emily huffed and crossed her legs. Okay, but why were you listening in anyway? That's kind of weird, dude. A little controlling if you ask me. Rachel nodded. Exactly. You're sitting here acting like Lisa is some horrible person, but you were spying on her private conversation. That's a huge red flag. I let out a sharp laugh. Unbelievable. You're really trying to flip this on me? I came home, heard my fiancée talking about how she regretted never sleeping with a taller guy, heard her friends encouraging her to do it. And now you're mad at me for hearing the truth? Lisa shook her head, her face twisted in frustration. I can't believe this. I can't believe you're willing to throw away everything over a stupid joke. I took a deep breath and stared at her, feeling something inside me shift. I didn't see my future wife standing in front of me anymore. I saw someone who wanted to keep me, but not respect me. Someone who was only upset because she got caught. I'm not throwing anything away, I said finally. You did that the moment you said you felt like you missed out. The wedding is off. Lisa's face contorted in shock. Wait, what? You're seriously calling off our wedding over Tess? Emily snorted. Oh my God, are you serious? You're going to be that insecure? Rachel scoffed. You'll never find someone as loyal as Lisa, dude. She was literally just joking, and you're nuking your relationship over it. Good luck with that. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. Babe, please. You're really going to do this? I nodded. Yeah, I am. Then I turned and walked out the door. I didn't go back that night. Instead, I went straight to my brother's place and crashed on his couch, feeling like my entire world had just flipped upside down. My phone was blowing up with messages from Lisa. Please, come home so we can talk. I swear, I didn't mean it the way you think. I love you. Don't throw everything away over Tess. Are you really ending this over a joke? I didn't respond. I was done talking. The next morning, I sent her a single text. The wedding is off. I'll be there later this week to grab my things. It didn't take long for the flood of messages to turn from apologetic to angry. Are you serious? You're really doing this to me? To us? I can't believe you'd humiliate me like this over nothing. You are so insecure, it's pathetic. That last one made me laugh bitterly. Insecure because I didn't want to marry someone who openly admitted she was curious about cheating? Because I didn't want a lifetime of wondering whether she'd eventually scratch the itch she regretted not experiencing? I ignored her. Instead, I started making calls, first to my parents, then to hers. My parents were furious, not at me, but at Lisa. My mom, who had always adored her, was the first to speak. She said what? She asked in disbelief. I repeated it, word for word, the giggling, the encouragement, the regret in Lisa's voice about missing out. By the time I finished, my dad looked like he wanted to punch a hole in the wall. You dodged a bullet, he said simply. I braced myself when I called Lisa's parents, expecting them to side with her. To my surprise, her own mother let out a long sigh before saying, I don't blame you. Her dad, though, that was another story. You're really throwing away a marriage over some dumb girl talk? He scoffed. Jesus, grow a pair. I hung up on him. Word spread fast. Some of Lisa's family reached out to tell me they understood, while others told me I was overreacting. But the worst part? Lisa's friends. Lisa must have run straight to Emily and Rachel, because within an hour, they were messaging me. Emily, wow, you're really this insecure? You're never going to find someone as loyal as Lisa, and you just threw her away over a joke. Pathetic. Rachel, you're a joke, dude. Have fun dying alone. I blocked them both, but the damage was already being done. Mutual friends started messaging me, asking what happened. Some took Lisa's side, believing the narrative she was spinning, that I had overreacted to a harmless conversation, that I was an insecure creep for listening in. Others, though, they saw right through it. My best friend Mark called me up immediately. Bro, I don't care what anyone says. You did the right thing. If she's talking like that before the wedding, imagine how she'd be after 5 years of marriage. He wasn't wrong. For the next few days, Lisa oscillated between rage and desperation. One minute, she was sending me angry texts about how I had ruined her life. The next, she was begging me to come home, swearing she had just gotten caught up in the moment and that it wasn't what it sounded like. I ignored every single one. Then, she showed up at my brother's house. I almost didn't open the door, but I figured I might as well hear what she had to say, if only for closure. She looked terrible, puffy eyes, dark circles, like she hadn't slept in days. Please, she whispered the moment I stepped outside. Can we talk? I crossed my arms. There's nothing left to say, Lisa, she sniffled. I was brainwashed by Emily and Rachel. I stared at her. What? She launched into this whole speech about how her friends had been getting into her head for months, telling her she was settling, making her doubt whether she'd experienced enough before marriage. They kept telling me I needed to live more before committing. I got caught up in their stupidity. I don't even care about taller guys. I don't even know why I said that. I was just trying to fit in with them, I swear. I let out a slow breath, shaking my head. Then why didn't you shut it down? I asked. Why didn't you tell them they were wrong? She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I continued. And when I walked in, why was your first instinct to call me a creep instead of apologizing? Tears slipped down her face. I panicked. No, I said firmly. You got caught. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Lisa, even if I believe you, even if I believe that Emily and Rachel got into your head, it still doesn't change the fact that you let them. That's not something I can ever trust again. She started sobbing. Please, I love you. I made a mistake, but I would never actually do anything. Please don't throw this away. I took a deep breath. You threw it away the moment you let your friends convince you that I wasn't enough. You made your choice, Lisa. Now I'm making mine. Then I turned and went back inside. She stood there for a few minutes crying. Eventually, she left, the aftermath. It's been a week since then. Lisa is still trying to get mutual friends to talk to me, but most of them are either staying out of it or telling her to let it go. Some of her friends, real friends, not Emily and Rachel, actually reached out to me, saying they couldn't believe what Lisa said and that they understood why I walked away. Even Lisa's mom texted me again. You did the right thing. I love my daughter, but she messed up. I hope you find someone who never makes you feel like a backup plan." That text hit me hard. I feel a mix of things: heartbroken, obviously, exhausted, but also relieved because I realized something. If Lisa truly loved me the way she claimed, she wouldn't have needed her friends to remind her what she had. She wouldn't have entertained the idea of experiencing someone else. She wouldn't have let other people's opinions make her question our relationship. I dodged a bullet. And while it hurts now, I know I'll be better off in the long run. And Lisa? Well, I hope she enjoys her what-if fantasies, because they just cost her the real thing. Update: moving forward without Lisa. It's been a few months since I called off the wedding, and I can honestly say I made the right decision. For a while, everything felt like a blur. There were days when I'd wake up and almost forget that I wasn't getting married anymore. Other days, I'd catch myself reaching for my phone to text Lisa before remembering that she was no longer a part of my life. The first few weeks were rough. Mutual friends took sides, some supporting me, others insisting I had overreacted. Lisa continued her narrative that I had ruined our relationship over a misunderstanding, but eventually, even she stopped reaching out. I won't lie, there were moments where I wondered if I had been too harsh, if I should have given her another chance. But every time that doubt crept in, I reminded myself, love isn't just about feelings. It's about respect. And Lisa? She showed me she didn't respect me. Now, months later, I feel free. I feel lighter than I have in years. It's like I dodged a future where I was constantly questioning my worth, wondering if my partner secretly wished for something more. I've thrown myself into things I neglected during my relationship, hitting the gym, traveling, reconnecting with old friends. I even took a solo trip to Italy, something I had always wanted to do but never prioritized. And the best part? I no longer feel like I'm not enough. Because the truth is, I was enough. Lisa just wasn't the right person for me. Recently, I started seeing someone new. It's nothing serious yet, but she's kind, funny, and most importantly, she makes me feel appreciated. And that's something I'll never settle for less than again. To anyone who's ever felt like they weren't exciting enough for their partner, let me say this: you deserve someone who chooses you completely, without hesitation, without doubts. Walking away from Lisa was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was also the best.